Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. For the last 2 weeks of February, I hope you will. This is going to be shorter than the main monthly reading because obviously it's just covering that 2-week period from the 15th to the 28th of February. And I'm going to try not to pull any clarifiers so I can keep it nice and short. Now, if you haven't seen this any of my mid-month readings before, what I like to do is have a look at the energy that you're in at the moment, and then in the next step look at what this energy is trying to teach you. Right? I see everything as a lesson, and when things are challenging, it's useful to be able to detach and kind of step back a little bit. It helps you navigate your way through if you can manage not to take what's happening personally and see what the lesson is. So if that doesn't make sense, I'm sure that it will by the time the reading is complete. Just want to mention the 6-month overview videos that I did for each of the signs. It's from January to June, obviously, for 2021. Those are still available. They're down there on the Vimeo link in the description box. So, tell me about Cancer, please. Cancer's energy right now. Ooh, Cancer. Oh, I love this. So, first card that you have is the Fool. The second one is the Four of Wands, delightful combination. And the final one is you, it's the Queen of Cups. This is really, really nice. And there's a sense of you actually, yeah, okay. We've got the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. Really settling into your emotions, into your emotional state right now. Like there's been a relaxing somewhere along the line. Balancing, yes, for sure. And we've actually got the Tower behind it there. It's like sort of, you've done the bit where you've kind of crawled out of where everything was really, really bad and stopped and kind of regained your breath. But there's a sense of it all kind of starting to settle down for you a little bit more. And I love what's going on here because not only are you showing up as your, as who you are, which means that your energy is really good, it's really authentic, and it is currently aligned with, with what is around you at the moment. But the Fool and the Four of Wands, they're both, I was going to say relatively constructive, but actually that's not quite true. So the Fool is like a release, right? And that's definitely what I'm feeling here. There's been a release of tension, there's been a settling down in some sort of way. And there's an element of trust coming in here, coming back, possibly. And then we've got the Four of Wands. Let me shut this window for a second. Right. And the Four of Wands is my card of home. Right? It speaks specifically about home to me. But it can talk about two people coming together. It talks about the construction of a new foundation of some description, right? So there we have the Fool, there we have the trust, we have an openness to a new way of doing things. We have a new paradigm being created here. And we have you sat looking at it, being very, very happy indeed. Oh, I like that. So, it may not be that you're very, very happy just yet, but certainly the potential for it is there. Now, as these cards sit on my table, right, we've got this glorious Four of Wands in the middle, and I love the symmetry of this card, but notice we've got these two crows looking at each other at the bottom. Then the cards that sit either side, there, we have the crow looking here from the Fool at the Four of Wands, and we also have the crow from the Queen of Cups looking at this too. Okay? This could be you getting together with somebody else. It might be an Aries, but might not. But with that Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, it's not just your own internal balance, it is something outside of you too. And maybe it is another person. There's a reciprocity there, there's a kind of equality, right? Now, should mention that we're in Mercury retrograde at the moment. So if this is something that's happened during this time, it might be a good thing not to get too attached to it, because the things that turn up in the retrograde very rarely stay. If, however, this was something that started beforehand, I cannot remember the exact date that the retrograde started. Would it be So we have 2 weeks in retrograde. That would take us down to the 13th. Then a shadow period of 2 weeks before that. So we're basically looking around the end of January, right? If it started before the end of January, then this is all fine. If it's happened since then just be aware that that energy is at play at the moment. You know, Mercury goes direct, I think, on the 21st, which will be next Sunday. And then you have like 2 weeks after that in the shadow period where it kind of winds down again a little bit. But I'm not trying to piss on your chips or anything like that. I just want you to be aware of it. So let's have a look and see what this energy is trying to teach you. What is it trying to show you? This. Okay, we have the King of Pentacles, we have the Six of Pentacles, and we have the Three of Cups. We have the Empress at the bottom of the deck. That's Taurian energy, sometimes Libran energy, actually, to be fair, but I always see it as Taurian. Yeah, we've got a sense of something coming. Like I feel like there's a sense of you coming out of the cold about something, right? Because what we've actually got underneath here is the Nine of Swords, followed by the Ten of Swords. So we've got some really difficult mental energy going on here, and that's quite often associated with overthinking, you know, insomnia, depression, all that sort of thing. The Ten of Swords, it's an absolute abject end, often associated with, you know, betrayal or humiliation or something like that. But then we have something coming out of it here. Now this might not be with an old person. It might be that there's been a wrapping up of an old situation. You've processed it, you've worked through it, and now a new person has come along, because we do have the Knight of Cups there, Pisces energy, and then we have the Empress. We have fertile, abundant energy coming up and being like, I'm going to do new things. I'm going to bring new things into the world, right? There's a lot of new here, which I like. But what this energy is trying to teach you, well, we've got the King of Pentacles, like I said, the Six of Pentacles and the Three of Cups here. The King of Pentacles is about taking responsibility. Like maybe it is that while you've been suffering during this time of whatever ended before, it's taken quite a lot to get on top of your shit. Let's not beat around the bush here, right? Pulling everything together. You know, the King of Pentacles is a very responsible energy, and it's usually responsible for more than just him. But it can talk about, you know, responsible for your resources, whether that is money or your other energetic currency that you use, right? Because money is just energy like everything else, right? And we try not to cling to it too much. Just let it move in and out, you know. Perhaps if you run your own business, you know, the lesson could be that your emotional state is intrinsically related to your ability to be able to function and work. So, you know, if let's just slide right in deep here, okay? So when you are upset, everything goes to shit, right? It's just what happens. When you are in a relationship and everything is good, then everything, literally everything everywhere is good. But when that starts to wobble a little bit, it's like you take your eye off the ball with everything else. Now, for me, I would be looking at that and saying, right, so actually the lesson is a little bit deeper here, right? And maybe it is that you overinvest in these relationships. And therefore, when that goes, everything else goes, because all of your energy's gone into that, right? And it's like kicking your legs out underneath you. Maybe the lesson is to be a bit more balanced about it. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it for sure. Ooh, I've got a rising sickness coming up there. You probably didn't like what I said very much just then. I think maybe that was just a response to it. But another way of looking at this is actually to say that maybe it's about hope. Do you know? Things are going well, things are coming together, and it's like what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say here? maybe what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to your trust in your ability to be able to manage your resources effectively in whatever way that they appear, your emotional state is a hugely important part of that, right? So when it feels like things are going wrong, rather than plowing more energy into these things here, taking care of your emotional state and looking at why it is that you are struggling is the way through, is the way forward, because everything else is just a reflection of what's going on in here for you. Now, I've got this Three of Cups here, and I like this because it's got a laurel wreath at the side here, right? There's great victory here. And it speaks to me about emotional support networks, you know? But I'm quite keen to get another card for it because I'm not entirely sure why it's just popped up. There we go. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, the Two of Swords. Actually, okay. Well, I got two cards that just kind of drifted out, and let's take them both because we've got the Moon and we've got the Fool, and that makes a lot more sense now. So here we have emotional support networks, you know, people around you. Then we have a card that talks about work specifically, and we have a card that talks about you ignoring your own emotions, right? The message is here, like, ignore your own emotions at your peril, right? If you're the kind of person who tends to throw yourself into work when things emotionally feel like they're getting out of whack, you're kind of doing it the wrong way around. It's a little bit backwards, right? This will all flow from you being absolutely centered and happy with yourself, right? Because we've got the Moon and the Fool there again, right? Trust that everything will be okay. But in the interim, you deal with this first. When you are coming from a centered, grounded place, and you can see things as challenges rather than, you know, like catastrophic world-ending stuff, right? You can just break it down into chunks, and you're like, all right, okay, I'm feeling cool. Well, this is an issue, I'll deal with this, and then this is an issue, and I'll deal with that. Being stuck in a kind of like, oh my God, my entire life's going to shit, now I'm going to concentrate on my work, except that you can't concentrate on your work because your emotional state is such a fundamental part of what is going on here. Right? It just gets worse, right? So leave that, let that sort itself out. You work on you first, right? I hope that makes sense. It does sort of make sense to me too, which is good, right? Let's get you some advice. Give me some advice for Cancer, please. What's Cancer need to know? Oh. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's wonderful. We've got the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. That's awesome, you know? Whether or not you are running your own business, or whether it is just the way that you are running your life, because don't forget that these pentacles are just energetic currency, time, care, effort, money. Yes, all of those things. When you are looking after your emotional state first, everything else follows, right? It flows beautifully. We've got the Ten of Swords here, right? Difficult things happen. They do, right? And when it happens, it's very easy for you to feel completely speared by it, right? But by bringing it back to you and how you are emotionally, how you feel, working on your own happiness, right? It's like, it's you first, emotions first, happiness first. Everything else flows from it beautifully. And if for no other reason, then you're in a much better place in your head to be able to deal with it. But actually it's a bit deeper than that, right? There's all sorts of other stuff going on there. Yeah, you first. Now, the fact that this is where your energy is at the moment makes me really, really happy, right? But don't misunderstand the order that things happen in, right? It might not even be that you've met anybody else. It might actually be that you're completely content to be by yourself at the moment, and that too is equally valid as an interpretation, right? But whatever it is, where have you gone? The Moon, right? Card of Cancer, but also the card of the internal space. That's what you should be turning your attention to. Don't ever turn your back on it, because it'll come and bite you in the arse. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that this was useful for you. As ever, if oh my God, what was I going to say there? I have no idea. If it's resonated with you, feel free to you know, let me know in the comments or whatever. But this is good. I like this. Right? Know that I love you all very much, and I'll see you soon.